Hearings meeting of the Springfield City Council will now be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Perez. Present. Councilor Click Bruce.
Present.
Present. Councilor Curran.
Present.
Present. Councilor Walsh.
Present.
Present. Councilor Brown.
Present.
Present. Councilor Davila. Absent. Councilor Hurst. Present. Councilor Edwards.
Present.
Present. Councilor Allen.
Present.
Present. Councilor Govan. Absent. Councilor Fenton.
Present.
Present. Councilor Whitfield. Absent. Councilor Letterman.
Present. Will members and guests please rise and join us in a moment of silence? This moment of silence is dedicated to the memory of Dean Curtis Rodriguez, the son of Ward 8 City Councilor Zeta Govan, who was lost over this past weekend. Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Before we begin, a couple of announcements. Let the record reflect that Councilor Walsh and Councilor Brown are participating remotely this evening. I've also received notification from Councilor Whitfield and Councilor Govan that they plan to participate remotely. However, they are not yet present at this time. Councilors are reminded that your microphones are on. And if you would like to mute your microphone, there is a mute button that you may press. When the green light is not displayed, your microphone is muted. Otherwise, your microphone is live and broadcasting to the public. Once again, we would ask councilors, again, this is a little bit of a departure from past practice, so just a reminder, we would ask that you rise to be recognized and then you deliver your remarks from the seated position so as to allow the microphone to pick up your remarks. An announcement for councilors and the audience: at the recommendation of the Health Commissioner, Helen Colton-Harris, we are requesting respectfully that folks wear face coverings when they are not speaking this evening, and we appreciate individuals who are willing to do that. And finally, as we proceed to regular order, we've received notification from the petitioner for item 4 that they will not be present this evening and wish to have the item continued. And so if there's no objection, I'd ask the clerk to call item 4 so that we might dispose of that item.
Item 4 is for a special permit for a drive-up service window at the properties known as 785 Page Boulevard.
Motion to continue?
Motion has been made to continue by Councilor Fenton, seconded by Councilor Allen. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to continue item 4.
On continuing the item, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Davila. Absent. Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Govan. Absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield. Absent. Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The item is continued. Madam Clerk, returning to regular order, please call the first item.
The first item on the agenda is a petition to store and sell petroleum at 658 Berkshire Avenue.
Is there anyone present to speak to item 1, 658 Berkshire Avenue? Please step forward. State your name and address for the record. Thank you. You have the floor to present your petition. The floor is yours to present your petition.
License
to store petroleum products at 658 Berkshire Avenue to the land. Please note that the current license for the property, which was attached to our application, is in the name of Berkshire Asphalt, was issued in August of 2006. I also just wanted to mention that with the modification that we're respectfully requesting from the City Council to issue, it runs with the land, even though there's a different name on it. A license that, I'm probably telling you what you already know, but with the license that is issued, it stays with the land, no matter, it's not really with the owner. So we're looking to get that. And it also will be submitted to the city clerk, and they also do a yearly registration on it with the tanks. Also, I just want to make note, I did meet briefly with Captain Martin, the fire prevention officer for the city of Springfield. He informed me to inform of our intent to apply for the modified license, and also to get the fire commissioner's signature on our application, which was submitted. I also mentioned to Captain Martin that we intended to construct several above-ground storage tanks once we received, hopefully, the modified license. And he is very familiar with the facility and appeared to welcome the upgrades. So if I could give you just a little bit of background. So the Gleason, this is known as Berkshire Asphalt right now, on Berkshire Ave. So the Gleason families own this facility and operated since before the 1960s in the same location with the same operation. Mike Gleason is the third generation and owner of the land. So as I mentioned before, this currently has been for many years an asphalt plant that's been operating successfully with no complaints that we're aware of. I will just state, please note, All States Asphalt recently took over the operations of the facility from Berkshire, and we're looking to put in, install above-ground storage tanks and invest a bunch of capital improvements. And I did mention this to Captain Martin, and he was pleased that we're going ahead with that. So the property consists of 3.5 acres. And the storage tanks that after we get the license, the storage tanks we propose to put in would be approximately 300 to 250, so a football field away from Berkshire Ave, and they will not be seen from Berkshire Ave. There's also a maintenance garage located on the property to maintain equipment and trucks, and then we have propane, oxygen, acetylene, and gases that will be stored in the maintenance facility. And either that or behind the building. So the quantities that we're looking for to amend to our current license is to add liquid asphalt, 80,000 gallons, diesel / number 2 fuel oil, 40,000 gallons, motor lubricants, 1,300 gallons, solvents, which is like parts washer, 750 pounds, and then oxygen, acetylene, and argon, which are stored in cylinders, and they're approximately 2,400 cubic feet. And also just for safeguards too, once the tanks go in, they need to be permitted if they're above 10,000 with the State Fire Marshal's office, and also if not, and also with the approval of the City of Springfield Fire Department. They're tested regularly with the integrity, and actually there's plenty of regulations and inspections that have to be done. So that's kind of summarizes what we're looking for to amend the license to improve the facility.
One minor correction. You said 750 pounds of solvent. I think you meant 75 gallons.
75 gallons of solvent. I made a mistake.
Minor corrections going on.
For the record.
Thank you. Is there anybody else present with you that wishes to speak to your petition?
No, not today.
Seeing none, are there any questions from the City Council? Seeing no questions from the City Council, I'm going to ask Councilor Edwards to take the podium because I have some questions.
Councilor Letterman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The petition that you have before us, is this relative to the storage of new materials?
Some of it is, yes.
Have you been before the Indian Orchard Citizens Council yet?
No.
Seeing as that the petitioner hasn't been before the Indian Orchard Citizens Council
So-
at this time, and seeing as it deals with the storage of large quantities of other materials, I mean, I'm inclined to refer this to committee. It's a petition, it's not a special permit, so I believe it can be referred to committee. And my inclination with Councilor Govan not being able to be with us this evening is that it should go to committee. So I make a motion that this be referred to the appropriate committee, which I think would be Maintenance and Development, which is actually Councilor Govan's committee, and that would be my motion at this time.
I second.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion has been seconded properly. Are there any questions on the motion? Councilor Hurst.
I just want to make sure that there wasn't a further response in terms of them going to the Indian Orchard Civic Association,
Yeah, we're not in Indian Orchard, we're in Pine Point.
Pine Point. And so did you go before the Pine Point Citizens
No, we did
Council? Okay.
My apologies. I must be right there on the border, so I would ask that Pine Point be included as the reference point. But again, it's in Ward 8. Councilor Govan's not present, and it does deal with, this is less than, normally when these come before us, they're just license transfers from gas stations and similar facilities. But with the quantity of material that's being discussed, I need more information than we're going to get in this hearing this evening.
Are there any other questions on the motion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on the motion?
On the motion to continue to the Maintenance and Development Committee, Councilor Perez. Yes. Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila. Present.
Madam Clerk, can you recognize Councilor Davila, please?
Yes, President, yes.
Present and yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes. I believe them.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield. Absent. Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
The vote is sufficient. The motion is carried. Councilor Letterman.
Thank you, Councilor. Your item has been referred to the Maintenance and Development Committee chaired by Councilor Govan. She and the Economic Development Department will be in touch to discuss next steps. And in the meantime, I would encourage you to reach out to the Pine Point Neighborhood Council. You can be connected with them through Phil Dromey.
Okay,
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
The next item on the agenda is for a petition for open-air parking at 331 Liberty Street.
Is there anyone present to speak to this item? You may step forward. Please state your name and address for the record, and then the floor will be yours to present your petition.
My name is Morgan Finn. I live in Holyoke, Mass. At 192 Huron Avenue. And I'm here for a license for an open-air parking at 331 Liberty Street. One of my neighbors came to me, Rod Sidlery, and he's losing his parking down on Avocado Street. And he asked me if he could park some vehicles on my property, 12 to 15 employee cars and a couple of straight job trucks. And I said, I have to find out what I got to do for that. And he says, oh, I can do that. And I says, no, I think since I own the property, I have to go down and this is where I ended up here. I did talk to the neighborhood council. I had to sit down and I had a Zoom meeting with the neighborhood council, explain to them everything about the parking and what we were going to do, and they voted on 10 yeas and two nays on it. So they're behind me on the parking there. I have extra room on the property that I'm not using. I own another business, CDL training school up there. And due to the COVID and stuff like that, we have extra parking up there. And it was mentioned that the Civic Center is getting knocked down and the city's in need of parking, and I got plenty of parking up there. So I was talking to Valet Park of America, Tim Gainey, whatever his name is, to see if he would manage the parking for me so it would be conducted in a proper way. And we're still talking about the company managing the parking up there for me. And so I had to apply for the license, and I had to come before the council to ask you to grant me a license for the parking lot. It's already a parking lot now. It's the past owner of the property said he could fit 2,500 cars in there. I figure about 2,000 cars he can fit in there. So it's a big piece of property, and we're looking to have that done. We've talked about the traffic and everything with the council. Since the registry of motor vehicles closed down and the YMCA stopped having people over there too, they reduced the amount of cars between 600 to 900 cars per day that don't go up on that street. And we also talked to the council about the wintertime when they're plowing up there. It's a nightmare. I said that we can get you some passes to park down on the property during the winter so you're not being towed and spending all kinds of money getting your car damaged by them ripping your car down the street during the winter. And they were pleased about that too, that I could do that. And I got to talk to a few other people about what they could park there too. And it's set back, and so it's not an eyesore or anything like that, because most people don't even know we're there, that we exist, the school. So we should have no problem with keeping it low key. And that's about it that I can go over with you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present to speak to the petition? Seeing none, are there any questions from councilors?
Mr. President?
Councilor Perez.
Yes. The Liberty Council met last night, and I spoke to the members, and because the meeting was last night, they had not forwarded the letter, and the letter is going to be forward, and it was an approval of the business. I also visited the business today. The maintenance of that part is very clean. That parking place in the back, where he's describing, could hold up to 2,000 cars. I think the petition is for 100 to 300. The other important thing that I want to inform is that while I was visiting, he has what is called the CDL classes there, and there was a lot of youth taking the classes. By talking to Gladys Rivera from the Liberty Council, it was also, the council has reported that pending condition and was in mutual agreement to storage the carts of the residents when the storms come, so the street could be clean. And I am very impressed by what I saw with the cleanliness and the environmental friendly of the place. So let it be noted that a letter going to be forward from the council with approval of the neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Walsh.
I'm going to mute myself. Yes, I plan on supporting the petition, but I want to just say, following up with some of the remarks of Councilor Perez, I think it's a very generous serve for you to help people out during the snowstorm so they won't get towed. And I think that's a plus for you tonight. So I plan on supporting your petition.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Are there any further questions or comments on the petition? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to approve item 2, petition for open-air parking at 331 Liberty Street.
On approving the petition, Councilor Perez? Yes. Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan, absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the petition is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 3.
Item 3 is a petition for Pineview Drive stop sign.
Is there anyone present to speak to this petition?
Yes, sir. My name is Grant Lewis. I'm the one that created the petition to the traffic department.
The floor is yours.
I've been living here on Pineview Drive for 56 years, and I live on the corner of Pineview Drive and Fairlawn. We are the first street that people use to go from the other side of Sunrise Terrace to Wilbraham Road. During the after the proposal at the traffic meeting, one of the police officer that's on their committee said that he did a survey and there's been 3 accidents on this street, and traffic they speed up and down this street. And even the school buses, after they left all the kids out, go speeding down the street to get to where they park their buses. One of the, he said there was 3 accidents. One of the accidents happened a number of years ago where a car went through Fairlawn. Car coming up Pineview Drive hit him and drove the car up onto my patio. The police officer, even in the traffic, that's on the traffic council, said that he thinks that it should be there also, 4-way sign.
Thank you, sir. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, sir.
And could you just state your name and address for the record one more time so I can make sure the clerk got it?
Sure. Grant Lewis, Louis, 63 Pineview Drive.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present to speak to this petition? Seeing none, are there any comments or questions from councilors? Seeing no questions or comments, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to approve the stop sign on Pineview Drive.
On approving the petition, Counselor Perez. Yes. Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan, absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the petition is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call item 5.
Item 5 is for a special permit to alter a pre-existing digital wall sign on a portion of the property known as 1414 Main Street, also known as 1 Monarch Place.
Thank you. This is a special permit hearing. I will now declare that the hearing is open. Proponents of the special permit application will have 20 minutes to present. Opponents will have the same right with a 5-minute rebuttal on each side. The proponent's time will start now, and we'd ask that you state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. President and City Councilors. My name is Harry Auerbach. I am an executive with Agnoli Signs, 722 Worthington Street. I'm here with Paul Picnelli, President of Monarch Enterprises, and Paul Marcelina, Executive Vice President for Monarch Enterprises. On May 3rd, a trash truck hit the walkway that spans East Columbus Avenue that connects the Sheraton to the parking deck, if you will. And when the truck hit it, it damaged the existing sign, which actually dates back to 1995, to a point that it could not be repaired. We're here because the sign that we're proposing requires a special permit. And to be specific, it is a digital sign like the previous. I'm going to let Mr. Picnelli speak as to the content that is put out by the digital sign, but I don't know if any of the councilors have questions about the sign itself and the information that Phil Dromey has presented to you.
We'll proceed through proponents and then we'll move to questions.
So good evening. As it was said, my name is Paul Picknell. I'm the president of Monarch Enterprises. I'm a third-generation business owner in the city of Springfield. It was started by my grandfather almost nearly 90 years ago. And we currently own and operate the Sheraton Hotel. And as you heard, that is adjacent to the Springfield Parking Authority garage. And we connect our hotel to the Springfield Parking Authority garage by a sky bridge. And that sky bridge is used as a accessory sign, and we use that for basically public service announcements. Things like the Spirit of Springfield, they have their Bright Nights at Forest Park, we advertise that. 4th of July here in Springfield on the riverfront, the big balloon parade, the pancake breakfast. Just earlier this month, we advertised the 9/11 event that was at Riverfront Park. And Paul Marcelino, who's also with me, is our executive vice president. He sits on the board of directors of the Business Improvement District, and he's certainly aware of all these businesses that have come to town and new businesses that open up. We believe we have somewhat of an obligation to advertise for them. For example, Jackalopes, which opened up recently, we took it upon ourselves to advertise. Jackalope is now opening. It's our way of saying thank you for that business to invest in our downtown Springfield, and having a public service announcement, we believe is exactly the right thing to do. We also use them for high-profile events that happen in our downtown. For example, just in June and July of this year, the Springfield Thunderbirds were hosting the playoffs. We had 20,000 people in downtown Springfield over 3 nights at the Mass Mutual Center, and we advertised the Springfield Thunderbirds having their event here in downtown Springfield. Other events that happen all in, for example, we have Symphony Hall events. We advertise Symphony Hall events, again, as a public service announcement. I'm also a board of trustee for Bay State Medical Center and have been for a number of years. We were assisting Bay State with public service announcements about COVID-19. We also assisted Health New England to get the message out on where they can get vaccines for COVID-19, including when they had their little mobile unit on Main Street in Springfield during the pancake breakfast, and telling people that they can come down and get their vaccines here. We have had bloodmobile events with Health New England. All of this, we believe, is an integral part in getting the message out, and these accessory signs that we have play an integral role. What we do not use that sign for is we don't ever, and have never had this in the approximately 25 years the sign's been up, use this as a revenue tool. There is no businesses that can buy time on this sign. Businesses that use it is, again, I think, our way of saying thank you, like Jackalopes, for example. We occasionally use it for tragic events. For example, just today, this morning, I came to work and we have a sign that says we support Ukraine and their efforts. We literally use this sign for hundreds of events during the course of the year. We think it's a gateway to downtown Springfield, and this sign, I think, supports Springfield well. And we hope you approve the sign. I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. McNally. Is there anyone else present to speak in favor of the petition of the special permit? Is there anybody present virtually? Seeing none, are there any opponents present? And are there any opponents present virtually? Seeing none, before we close the hearing, are there any questions from the City Council relative to the special permit? Councilor Brown, followed by Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make a quick statement. I definitely appreciate the upgrade. It's been a very, very long time. I believe a lot of times we stay so dated and behind the times. So I'm glad that you guys are putting money into this as far as this better technology. So that's just basically what I want to say. I definitely appreciate it, and we definitely need it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. And yes, I'd like to say that, Mr. Pinelli, we certainly appreciate what a great corporate citizen you have been. Your family has been through 3 generations, and I like signs. I like to know where I am and where I'm going and what's going on. So I'm happy to support this. But I'd like to know, and maybe other people out there would like to know, if you do have an event, how do you get it put on the sign? Are you just aware of it through some kind of a community calendar, or do people contact you?
I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version of that because that's a long answer. But as I mentioned earlier, Paul Marcelina, who's our Executive Vice President, represents our company in the Business Improvement District. Lisa Cronella, who's my General Manager of the Hilton Garden Hotel in Springfield, represents our company on the chamber, the Springfield Chamber Board. Stacy Gravanis, who's my General Manager of the Sheraton Hotel in Springfield, is on the board of directors of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I am a board member of the Economic Development Council in Springfield. So our company's representatives are on most major boards in downtown Springfield. And because they're on the boards, they get to hear about all these new activities. And that's where we get generally most of the information. We also get that, obviously, when people are doing business at the Sheraton Hotel. We have many conferences on an annual basis that come to the Sheraton, spend a great deal of money in our downtown, not just at the Sheraton, but restaurants in Main Street, et cetera. Those businesses will get highlighted on these electronic signs. So it's a varied way of how we get these messages across. But I think we are well tuned into what's going on in downtown and what's happening in downtown. We occasionally get phone calls from elected officials about events. Pat Sullivan occasionally calls me about park events. He's the one who called me about the 9/11 event just 3 weeks ago. I sometimes get bombarded with requests to be candid with you. So it comes from in all different directions. And I hope that gives you the Reader's Digest version, because it can go on and on and on how many times we get information to get displayed on there.
Yes. Thank you for your explanation, because I'm sure somebody listening might want to have that exposure. And keep up your good work.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Davila, followed by Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Pinelli, good evening, sir, to you and to your team. My apologies, I have to give you my bag, but I got to speak into the microphone, sir. More of a comment, sir. I just want to tell you that I was paying close attention to what you were saying, and I was truly impressed. As we're talking, I could feel your dedication and your commitment to the city of Springfield, and for that, I want to say thank you to you and to your team. I was particularly impressed, sir, with your PSAs. Particularly helping small businesses, and because as you were talking, I said, what a great way of doing something to help with the walkability and the life of downtown. So just to say thank you to you, sir, for your dedication and your service to Springfield, for having such deep roots here in our great city, and I would be thrilled, happy to support it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. Yes, Mr. Pinelli, thank you for coming and presenting this. Given that you would like to replace it, is there any capability that the new sign will have, or that the previous one didn't? Or is there, and will your policy be the same as to how you manage the sign?
I'm sorry, Councilor Allen. Can you just repeat that, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll take my mask down here. First question was about, will the new sign have any more capability than the current sign had? And the second question was, will your policy of how you use it be the same?
Okay. The first part of the question is, it has a little bit different technology. It's the newest, latest, and greatest technology. It's similar to when you're buying a new TV at your house. You know, the TV that you bought 10 years ago has got certain pixels in it, and it's crisp, but the TV that you buy today is a crisper, image. So you'll see a crisper image. So the technology is the latest and greatest technology. Harry can explain to you how many pixels it is. I don't remember, but it's like trying to buy the TV. The latest and greatest TV is far better than what the TV that you bought 10 or 12 years ago. And we were going to continue to utilize that message sign exactly the same way we've been doing it for the last 25 years, primarily to highlight civic events in downtown Springfield, informational things like comes up with COVID-19 or Bay State Medical or Health New England. And it's our intent to continue to do these public service announcements whenever they have come up.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Pignelli, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Are there any other questions for the petitioner before we close the formal public hearing? Seeing none, without objection, I will now declare that the public hearing is closed. Is there any discussion amongst councilors on the special permit before we proceed to a vote? Seeing no discussion, at this time, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to approve the special permit.
On approving the special permit, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield, absent. Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The permit is approved. Congratulations, Councilor Perez, on the reasons.
On the reasons, the specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. The use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. Adequate and appropriate facility will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. To incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision at the basis of the findings.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Is there any discussion on the reasons? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept the reasons.
On accepting the reasons, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield, absent. Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the reasons are approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call item 6.
Item 6 is to amend an existing special permit by allowing a change in the petitioner at the property known as 9397 Wilbraham Road.
Is there anyone present to speak to the special permit at 9397 Wilbraham Road? Thank you for coming. So the proponents will have 20 minutes, and then any opponents will also have 20 minutes, and any rebuttal that takes place will be limited to 5 minutes. So at this time, we'll hear from proponents. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Leonardo Jimenez, and I'm at the address of 91 Parkside Street, Springfield, Mass.
The floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Leonardo Jimenez, like I said. I'm here in company of my dad, who is the owner of 9397 Wilbraham Road. We're here tonight to apply for the motor vehicle repair used car sales permit. So there was a permit there before. We're just looking to reapply for it. And we want to bring new opportunities to the city of Springfield by obtaining these permits necessary to bring more work and continue doing what we need to do, more business.
Thank you. Is there anybody else present to speak in favor of the special permit?
Good evening. My name is Antonio Jimenez, owner of the property, 9397 We appreciate for the plan for the special permit, and we together work. My young guy, we stay together. We running the plate. We don't move anything like it's the same. We have to work. Sorry.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present to speak in favor of the special permit?
No, sir.
Seeing none, is there anybody present virtually to speak in favor of the special permit? Seeing none, is there anyone present to speak in opposition? We just ask that you move to the side briefly.
Sorry.
That's okay. Is there anyone present to speak in opposition? And is there anyone present virtually to speak in opposition? Seeing none, before we close the public hearing, are there any questions from councilors relative to the special permit? Councilor Allen?
Thanks, Mr. President. Thank you for coming and presenting this to us. I just want to make sure that, and it sounds like this is a use that's been in that area or in that site for a while. It's just that there is a limitation because of the zoning there. Are you familiar with the fact that there's a limitation of storage of 5 cars?
Yes, sir.
You're familiar with that?
Yes, sir. It's 5 cars.
And that works out okay for you?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay, thanks. Just wanted to make sure you knew that.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Brown? Councilor Brown, you are recognized, but you are muted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Have you had an opportunity to speak to any of those neighborhood councils over there?
Have you spoke with the neighborhood council? Si yo sé, si tú hablas con el barrio, el council del barrio.
O yo lo hice la otra vez porque yo sigo siendo, cuando lo abrieron, yo lo hice la primera vez.
So he said in 2019, when they applied for the permit, that's when they talked with the council. So since this is just a reapplication, he didn't think that he would have to. Because since we're still using the same operation, we just wanted to do the transfer of petitioners.
Well, the only reason why is because it has changed as far as the area, and that is actually my area. And I haven't, none of the neighborhood councils, nobody in the area has had a chance to actually speak to the petitioner. So that's kind of why I asked. I would ask the petitioner to at least give the community a chance to at least sit down and meet them. Would he have is there a time restraint on this actual special permit or something? Is it something he needs right away?
Well, we plan on opening the business back up, as you know, that's one of our main sources of income. So, I mean, but if we do need to speak with the council, I'm more than welcome to. I don't oppose of that.
Because I'm familiar with the location. I know a lot of times in our area, a lot of the neighborhood councils, I definitely want to support your business, but I do want to make sure that we at least be able to have some type of introduction with the community. So with that being said, I mean, I'd like to motion to continue this until the petitioner can actually meet with, have an opportunity to meet some of the community.
Councilor Brown has made a motion to continue. Is there a second? Say again, is there a second to the motion?
Mr. President, point of information.
Councilor Davila, point of information.
Thank you, sir. Is this the first meeting on this matter?
This is the first meeting of this matter, Councilor Davila, but now that we are meeting in person again, we've returned to handling special permits in one meeting if the council's will is to do that.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure, I just want to, question, sir. I just want to make sure that the proponents understand what's going on. I'm getting a feeling that perhaps there might be a language barrier, sir.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. I will say, so there's a motion on the floor. The motion has not been seconded.
Second.
So Councilor Davila has seconded the motion. We are now in discussion on the motion. The motion is to continue, and we'll go to Councilor Walsh, followed by Councilor Walsh.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Am I to understand that they are just asking for a change of the name of the petitioner and not the use?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, so, I would be very concerned about a time deadline for the petitioner who mentioned this as their source of income, meeting with the neighborhood councils. I think that's something that we would have to know. Is this something that can be done in a speedy manner so we don't deprive them of business? Because sometimes it takes a while for the councils to get together and meet, and then they don't always have a quorum.
If I may,
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'll personally make sure that I come over to you tomorrow if you're available until I can get you, and I'll make sure that you get in front of the neighborhood councils. There were issues with certain car lots over there. I know as far as some of the upkeep. So a lot of times when not new businesses, when we get some of these business owners to now have to stand in front of the neighborhood councils, it gives them the opportunity to at least say to them, hey, that fence that you promised, it looks horrible. Hey, that trash over here, it looks horrible. Hey, the maintenance over here, this grass, that stuff looked horrible. So, sometimes I'd like to still have the community has an opportunity to meet the petitioner to address any of their concerns. So I'll make sure that it will be in a timely manner.
okay. Thank you, Councilor Brown, because definitely we want them to have input for the community, but we also don't want to hold up a small business because they all have expenses and payrolls to meet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Again, there's motion on the floor. The motion is from Councilor Brown, and the motion is to continue. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion on the motion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll without objection to continue the item.
On the motion to continue, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes,
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield, absent. Councilor Letterman.
Madam Clerk, Councilor Whitfield has actually joined us, and she did join us she actually did join us. I neglected to recognize her, so please recognize Councilor Whitfield.
Councilor Whitfield.
Present.
Councilor Whitfield, if your determination is that you were present for more than 50% of the hearing, you can vote on the hearing. The motion is to continue.
I'm going to abstain because I don't know if I was here for more than 50%.
That is your right.
Okay.
Councilor Whitfield abstained. Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The motion is successful. This item will be continued, and Councilor Brown and the Planning Department will be in touch with next steps.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call item 7.
Item number 7 is for a special permit to convert an existing static billboard sign into a digital billboard sign at the property known as 603 East Columbus Avenue.
This is a public hearing of the same right as previously. The proponents will have 20 minutes, opponents will have 20 minutes, and rebuttals will be limited to 5 minutes. Is there anybody present to speak in favor of the special permit?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. My name is Dan Finnegan. I'm an attorney with an office at 1500 Main Street in Springfield, and I'm here on behalf of the petitioner Lamar Central Outdoor LLC. Lamar currently owns a billboard located at 603 East Columbus Avenue. The property on which the billboard sits is owned by Belize Automotive Limited Partnership. It's the property where Belize Hyundai is on East Columbus Avenue. The property sits in an industrial A zone, and what we're seeking tonight is a special permit to convert the billboard
from a static sign into a digital sign. As I'm sure the council is aware, digital non-accessory signs are regulated by section 9.930 of the zoning ordinance. The proposal in front of you complies with all the requirements of that section. It's been reviewed by the Office of Planning and Economic Development. You have that memo in your packet. They've concluded it complies with the zoning ordinance and have recommended approval. Planning's also noted that the proposed digital billboard will not have any adverse impact on the abutting properties or the neighborhood as a whole. We've also touched base with the South End Citizens Council Board of Directors. They reviewed the proposal. They've also had a vote on it, and they also are supporting the application. And they noted in the letter, which I think you also have in your packet, that the sign will not have any adverse impact on the neighborhood. With me tonight is Pat Keogh. He's the Senior Real Estate Manager for Lamar, and Pat's going to talk a little bit more about the specifics of the project.
Thank you. Pat Keogh, 153 Tanglewood Drive, East Longmeadow, Mass. We're here tonight to basically want to convert an existing 14 by 48 static billboard into a digital format, which will be the same height, same size, same location. As Dan had mentioned, we've met with the South End Council, and they have approved what we're attempting to do. That's about it. Dan, Matt, you got it?
Yeah, we're happy to answer any questions. The sign dimensionally will be the same size as the current sign, same height, same size face, correct that? Okay, so there's no changes really from the visual aspect as you're driving down East Columbus Ave. As I said, it complies with all requirements of section 9.930 of the zoning ordinance, and has been recommended for approval by the planning board. So with that, we'll answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you. Is there anybody else present to speak in favor of the special permit? Is there anybody present virtually? Seeing none, thank you to the proponents. Are there any opponents present to speak in opposition to the special permit? And are there any opponents present virtually? Seeing none, before we close the public hearing, are there any questions or clarifications from councilors for the proponents? Councilor Allen?
Thanks, Mr. President. Regarding the change from static to digital or to dynamic, whatever, what is how often would it change and that sort of thing? Can you talk a little bit about that? What the standard is in the industry and what you might be proposing?
Springfield zoning, it's every 10 seconds. Per the Springfield, the regulations, every 10 seconds, and it's instantaneously. Every 10 seconds.
Every 10 seconds?
Yes.
And what is the standard in the industry?
That's pretty much the standard. Sometimes 8 seconds, 10 seconds.
And how many images would there be? Would be 2 images, one then the next?
One every 10 seconds, and it flips instantaneously.
But how many images?
So six in a minute.
6?
6 in a minute.
6 in a minute.
Yep.
6 different ones in a minute.
Yes.
This isn't an objection or anything. I'm just curious because, often when I see them, there's one in Hartford when you're coming on 91 North from Hartford towards Springfield. I'll miss something and then you don't see it because it changes and you don't see it again kind of thing. Is there any data on, accidents or anything? I know when we talked about this probably 10 years ago, we were concerned about accidents, and it was more a new thing at that point in Springfield. We didn't go with it at the time. Yep. Can you just enlighten us a little bit on that?
Yeah, since 2005, we currently operate 49 14 by 48 digitals in the state of Connecticut, 3 in Mass, 3 are in Chicopee. One is 2 are on the Mass Pike, and 1 is on I-91 at the Chicopee Curve. The Chicopee Curve one's been up since 2013. There has been no incidents, no safety concerns, no reports. The same thing with basically all of our digitals. There's nothing, no safety issues.
So they've been considered, history says they're safe, or
yes.
Even though it seems like they might be distracting, the history says they're safe.
they're safe, correct.
The track record. All right, thank you. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Are there any further questions or clarifications prior to closing the public hearing? Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe that there's an accessory sign that we permitted on this site or an adjoining site controlled by a Belize entity a few years ago that's not a changing image sign within the definitions of Article 9 that were earlier cited. Is there any relationship between these two signs or consideration for how they'll interact in the future? My recollection is it was in the last couple of years, Mr. President, that we allowed a larger than permitted accessory sign for Belize on that site, but it wasn't to be used for commercial purposes. And is there any relationship between these two signs or any consideration to the proximity of the two?
The Belize digital sign is an on-premise sign. Ours is an off-premise sign where we're going to advertise things not on the site. They advertise things that are basically on their site, so there is nothing to do with each other. It's two separate categories.
Do you know approximately how far they are from each other?
I do not.
I guess my only consideration is I just want to make sure that, is Phil, are you here, Phil? Yeah. Phil, didn't we, in the last few years, permit an accessory sign for Belize? Is there any setback issue that we need to be cognizant of between this changing image sign and that accessory sign for the Belize property?
No, because as I was mentioned, the Belize sign is an accessory sign, so the only regulations we have is a non-accessory sign, which this is, can't be within 500 feet of another non-accessory sign, but it doesn't mention can't be within 500 feet of a digital accessory sign.
So this would preclude that digital accessory sign from being converted to a digital non-accessory sign, because that would then violate.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Does that conclude your questions?
It does.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Are there any other questions or clarifications from councilors prior to closing the public hearing? Councilor Walsh.
Just have to unmute myself. As I said previously, I like signs. I've always liked digital signs, so I like to know what's going on, and I'm going to support this tonight. I wouldn't feel right supporting one digital sign and not supporting another. So I hope that the vote for this is unanimous.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Are there any other questions prior to closing the public hearing? Seeing none, without objection, I'll declare that the public hearing is now closed. Is there any debate amongst the council prior to a vote? Seeing none, then without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to approve the special permit.
On approving the special permit, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
All right, yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Whitfield.
Councilor Whitfield has disconnected.
Away. Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the special permit is approved. Congratulations. Councilor Perez on the reasons.
Special permit, reasons for granted permit. Number one, the specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. Two, the use as developed would not adversely affect the neighborhood. Three, adequate and appropriate facility will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. 4, to incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision at the basis of the findings.
Is there any discussion on the reasons? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept the reasons.
On accepting the reasons, Counselor Perez.
Yes?
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yeah, excuse me, yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan, absent. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield. Away. Counselor Letterman.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please recognize Counselor Whitfield.
Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The reasons are approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Clerk, please call item 8.
Item 8 is for a special permit to operate an adult-use marijuana establishment storefront retail at the property known as 732 Cottage Street.
All right, again, this is a special permit hearing of the Springfield City Council. Proponents will have 20 minutes to state their case on the special permit. Opponents will have the same right. Rebuttal will be limited to 5 minutes. I will now declare that the hearing is open. Please state your name and address for the record. We'll begin with the proponents, and your time starts now.
Brian Dombrowski, 2829 Granite Hill Drive, Leander, Texas.
Floor is yours.
First, I want to thank the council for what you are doing for the cannabis industry. It's absolutely amazing what your city has done. And I also want to thank the planning department for putting together a product that really laid it all out. Like, they did an amazing job putting together the nuts and bolts of what this project is. I have Michelle. Michelle should be on virtual, and I have Stephen here. They are the owners, so they can answer any questions that you have. We also have Kathy Brown here from East Springfield Neighborhood Council. And I also have, we have Noah, who is our architect, virtually, to answer any questions. One of the other things that we've done, like I said, the planning department did an amazing job of putting together the product description. Sorry, I'm blanking on what that was called. A few of the things that I wanted to highlight, because they did such a great job, is that we have actually reached out to some staffing companies to make sure that our staff will come from Springfield. We've reached out to 3 different staffing companies, and a couple of them have guaranteed that they already work with some Springfield dispensaries, and they can supply us with staff that is from Springfield. Some of the only other things that I wanted to highlight is the security aspect of it. We're already working with the alarm company. We're already taking the steps to put into place to make sure that we are compliant on the security aspect of things for the state, since they did such a good job of regulating the security aspect of things. And also on the odor control, in case that is a question, we wanted to make sure that it is very clear that we will work with a mechanical engineer to make sure that the odor is taken care of, but at the same time, we are working with the dispensary, and the product that we carry will be sealed when it's delivered. So there won't be extra odor from open packages and things like that. At this time, I wanted to let Michelle and Stephen just kind of introduce themselves, and then Kathy Brown, if she has anything to say.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, excuse me. Stephen Mrozinski, 1 James Way, Middle Island, New York.
The floor is yours.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you for having me this evening. So, my name is Stephen Mrozinski. I'm a licensed acupuncturist, and my background in cannabis is through acupuncture and Chinese herbology. I learned of the efficacy of cannabis as medicine, and it was really amazing to me. So through that, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. Through that path, I started being an advocate in New York State for medical cannabis. I worked up in Albany for a couple of years. I took a couple dozen trips up to Albany, learned a lot about the process of just legislation, et cetera. All of that basically led me to coming to Springfield and trying to open a dispensary. And the reason I do this is because I believe in cannabis as a medicine. I think it's a better alternative for everyone compared to alcohol. And, excuse me, part of my life work is to make, let me put it this way, safe access to lab-tested cannabis. And that's it. Thank you very much.
I believe Michelle is here virtually, possibly.
Michelle, the floor is yours. You are recognized, but you are muted.
Okay, I had just unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Michelle Merzinski. My address is 1 James Way, Middle Island, New York, 11953. Thank you so much for letting me appear and testify virtually. I really appreciate that. So again, my name is Michelle Merzinski. I'm a publicist and event planner, and my background is I'm a project manager, and I've worked on a lot of projects in New York City with events. One of my projects was New Year's Rockin' Eve we did a pre-taping for the New Year's Eve show at Rockefeller Center, and I was in charge of the crowd and making everything go smoothly, and that's one of my things. And I'm also an advocate. Stephen, he was he didn't give all his accolades. He helped write the bill for New York State so we could approve medical cannabis and also approve it for adult use. I'm also an advocate, and I am in the cannabis industry because I see from personal experience from my daughter, she suffers from PTSD and anxiety, and I saw that how it helped her, and it was the best thing, and it healed her. And my goal is to open this dispensary and to be a great neighbor for the neighborhood, and to give opportunities to families and mothers that would like a career in this business. Thank you so much for hearing us tonight.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Is there any further testimony in favor of the special permit?
The only last thing I wanted to add is one of the notes was on the floor plan, we were over 2,500 square feet. That has already been adjusted down to the appropriate level, and those new plans have been sent over to the planning department. So we are now in compliance with that.
Thank you.
And again, we have Noah and I have Phil here for any questions on the property, on the architectural stuff.
Is there any further testimony in favor for the proponents? Mrs. Brown, please
Good
state your
evening.
name and address for the record.
Well, I'm Kathleen Brown. I'm president and spokesperson of the East Springfield Neighborhood Council. Thank you for the opportunity this evening. We're here tonight to say that the proposal for the cannabis location at Cottage in Brookdale is one that we've very carefully vetted. We've been involved with the understanding of this particular proposal since they thought about doing it, and they've actually had several community outreach meetings in addition to coming to the Neighborhood Council board, and we've asked all kinds of questions about security, about odor, about staffing, about equity. And after, again, very careful review, the Neighborhood Council believes and has voted that this is an appropriate use, and all of the accommodations have been provided for in order for this to be a successful cannabis location in Springfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. Is there anyone else present in person to speak in favor of the special permit? Seeing none, is there anybody present virtually to speak in favor of the special permit? And I will recognize Debbie Goldsberry. Debbie, you may unmute, and the floor is yours. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name's Debbie Goldsberry, 1707 Lamert Boulevard, Oakland, California. I came tonight because I've been working with Stephen and Michelle for about 2 years. I'm a cannabis retail sales expert. I wrote a book called Starting and Running a Marijuana Business, which is an idiot's guide. And I've run my own dispensary out here in California for a long time. They asked me to partner with them on creating standard operating procedures and really working closely with Michelle to understand every aspect of cannabis business management and how to get the shop open and how it's going to be run. And I'm going to be around to support them the whole way through. Can't wait to get hands-on and get the shop open. So I just wanted to let you know I'm here if you have any questions, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Goldsberry. Is there anyone else present virtually or in person to speak in favor of the special permit? Seeing none, is there anyone present in person to speak in opposition to the special permit? Is there anyone present virtually to speak in opposition to the special permit? Seeing none, are there any questions or clarifications from councilors while the public hearing is open? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the city of Springfield. I just need to, again, my apologies. I have to give you my back as I have to talk into the microphone so that the people at home can hear us. I just want to make sure that I know who's who. You have, of course, my computer kicked me out in a second. So I have the owners are from New York, Steve and Michelle.
Steve and Michelle are the owners, yes, from New York.
And the gentleman that spoke is Steve.
Yes.
And the lady that was removed, that was Michelle. Correct?
The lady on the screen right now is
No,
Debbie
the,
Goldsberry.
the-
Yes,
the
the
first
lady
one-
on the screen is Michelle, yes.
Okay, so are they going to, it says here they're from New York, which is no problem. I'm just wondering, are they going to, who's going to be the manager on record, or who's going to be in charge of the operation on a daily basis?
Well, Michelle and I are the executives. Michelle is the majority owner of the company and the real estate. So we will be overseeing our managers, and like we were just saying, Debbie is going to be basically moving out here for a few months to help us open. She's running her own dispensary right now by remote in Oakland. She opened one of the first dispensaries in the entire country, by the way.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Steve. May I request that if you feel comfortable, there you go. I could barely hear you with the mask on. Okay.
Okay, yes.
I know.
So
Takes
our
some years
intention
to-
the whole time has been to move up here and manage the dispensary. With the help from Debbie's going to move out for a couple months from California to help us open the dispensary. She runs a dispensary right now, one of the first ones in the country she owns. So we'll have an excellent management team. We're the executives, my wife and I. We oversee the managers. We've been intending to move up here the whole time. And I'm not sure exactly what else you were asking. Mr.
No,
President.
exactly that. Who's going to be the manager on the daily operation? It seems to me that Dave is going to be the temporary manager. Is that what you're saying?
Debbie.
The lady you said, is that her name Debbie?
The woman on the screen now, yes.
Yeah, Debbie. Okay. Okay. Very well. Now, another question for you. I work very nearby that Cottage Street, and Cottage Street, as I'm sure you know, you guys know, it's one of the busiest streets in the whole city. You have plenty of spaces. I think I was looking here in the paperwork, it says you have 20 parking spaces, which is more than required.
We could fit more too.
I'm sorry?
We could fit more parking spaces also.
How many?
I was looking just today, maybe 10 more. I'm not an expert.
Okay. Oh, so it shouldn't be a problem with the overflow onto actual Cottage Street. And the reason I bring it up is because, you know, when something is a novelty at first, everybody wants to go there once at the same time. And having overflow on Cottage Street will be not bueno.
Well, that's why we've spoken with the neighbor. I forget the name of the neighbors right now. We share, they have an easement for our driveway. We let them use our driveway, they've agreed to let us use a little bit of overflow parking if we need it, especially on weekends when they're not open and after 5 when they close.
Okay, good. And Steve, my last question to you, not that it's required for this, but where are you guys with the host agreement?
I'm sorry, what?
Where are you guys with the host agreement?
What, where,
The
oh, we
host
have the host
agreement.
agreement.
I'm sorry?
The host community agreement, we have that, sir.
You do have it on hand. The mayor signed it?
Yes, yes. I believe yes.
You believe, or?
I'm certain. Yes,
Maybe
yes,
one of your
yes,
team-
that's the signature we needed, yes. We have the mayor's signature.
I shall be clear. The answer is
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, Steve. I can tell you have a lot of passion for this business. I like your demeanor. I wish you the best of luck, my good sir.
Thank
I'm
you,
sure
sir.
if you were properly vetted by my friends on the East Force of the East Springfield, you will be a great fit for that location. But again, as my initial concern is the traffic, but it seems to me you guys are addressing that quite well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Are there any further questions or clarifications, Councilor Fenton? I will say, Councilor Fenton, Ms. Goldsberry, I see you have your hand up. I cannot recognize you at this time unless somebody asks you a question. Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The neighborhood supports this application. We have no basis to condition or not approve the application based on the special permit criteria. So I'm going to be voting in favor tonight. But I did just want to ask a clarifying question based on a statement the petitioner just made in response to Councilor Davila's questions. With respect to the host community agreement, sir, it's my understanding that the mayor can't sign any host community agreements until this body has taken an affirmative vote to approve one, which we have not done. So do you in fact have a signed host community agreement from the mayor, or is that pending a vote of this body for that agreement?
So there is a host community agreement that is in the package. I think you are right, and it needs final approval, but it is in place.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know that my question is specifically for the petitioner, but I just want to know, how long does the signature process take for a host community agreement? Is there anyone here who can answer that? Because I would hate for them to be held up because that process is taking a while.
Councilor Whitfield, Phil Dromey is here, if you wish to direct your question there.
Sure.
Counselor, I heard your question, but unfortunately, that is part of the process that I'm not part of, the host community agreement. I deal with the special permit, so I know Attorney Talia G has been dealing with the host community issues. So that's unfortunately just not part of the process that I can speak to.
Okay, I'll reach out to Attorney G. That's my only question, Counselor.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield, and I can share that no host community agreements have been submitted for our agendas recently.
Okay.
Are there any further questions or clarifications, Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to follow up, maybe one of my colleagues can refresh my memory, but speaking on the host community agreement, somehow I'm thinking that we approved somebody, I can't remember who, without signing, the mayor had approved it beforehand. This is at the very beginning, I believe. It rings a bell for anybody? Maybe not.
Councilor Whitfield?
Or to any of the other colleagues?
Well, I see Councilor Whitfield has her hand up. I thought she may want to answer.
Yeah, sure.
I don't recall us approving anyone that already had a host community agreement signed. They may have been in negotiations with the mayor regarding the host community agreement, but I'm not really sure because it's been such a long time between the first application till now. Yeah. So I don't want to say that for sure, Counselor. I'm sorry.
I bring it up, Mr. President, because I think Councilor Whitfield brings a good point that we need to expedite and ensure that these host community agreements are signed quickly after being properly vetted, because we're holding up a lot of jobs, a lot of tax base. So I second her concerns. Thank Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any other questions while the public hearing is open?
Mr. President,
Councilor Perez?
just for the purpose of getting educated. So my question is, we have to approve first in order for the party to obtain a host agreement? That's a yes question.
If your question is a point of information, I can
Concerning
answer
the
it.
host agreement. So the party has to come before the city council before they could obtain a host agreement?
Councilor Perez, the two processes are separate. So they can petition for a special permit, and then once they have a host community agreement, they can also bring that host community agreement forward. But neither of those two things have to happen before the other one. They just need both to operate.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Point of information.
So I cannot recognize you unless somebody asks you a question.
Yeah,
Councilor Perez, do you have any further questions or statements?
No, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Councilor
Thank
Perez.
you.
Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify, your answer to Councilor Perez, I couldn't hear the last part, sir.
I'm sorry. So I was just speaking to the process relative to the point of information that Councilor Perez raised, which is that we can approve a special permit at any time, and we can also have a host community agreement submitted to us. They don't have to be done in any particular order.
So with that being said, is it theoretically possible that the mayor could sign it before we approve it?
No, the host community agreement must be approved by the city council in order to be in effect.
Correct. So I guess my question is, can the mayor sign the host community agreement without, before we issue a permit?
Well, now we've moved beyond the agenda setting. So at this point,
No,
I
the
would
reason
probably invite
no,
Phil
I
forward
understand,
to answer the
or to
question.
Phil, because I think it's relevant to host, thank you, Mr. President. Phil. So I guess, Alisa, I'm a little confused. So host community agreements, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Basically, does the mayor have to sign the host community agreement and we approve it, but we don't have to have the host agreement to approve? Like in this case, we don't have to have it to approve it, the special permit.
You don't have to have a completed host community agreement to approve the special permit. There's actually a condition, if approved, that they're required to obtain a fully
Right.
authorized.
They need a host agreement
Yes.
before they open.
Well,
even
they
after
need
we
that
approve.
at the end of the day just to move forward with
Right.
their full process to open.
Right, so even if we approve the special permit, the mayor has to sign the host agreement, then we have to approve the host agreement, correct?
Correct. I believe, and again, I'm speaking out of
Correct,
turn,
but
I
that
believe the
doesn't-
council still needs to approve the host community agreement.
Correct, but that doesn't keep the mayor from signing the host agreement before we approve anything. He could do that unilaterally if he chooses to.
Again, that one, I'm not sure I can answer that one. I'm not.
Do you know who
I
might be
don't.
able?
I don't know. I'm really, again, I purposely have stayed out of the host
I
community
got you.
part of this.
Do
so
you
I-
know who might be able to answer my question?
Well, again,
Phil?
Attorney G is the person who I believe is handling the host community negotiation process. But again, at the end of the day, the special permit can be approved based on the fact that
Right.
they get their host community agreement.
Right. Thank you, Phil, you're very helpful. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Whitfield?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that when we have any marijuana applications in front of us, Attorney G needs to be asked to be present because we have very specific questions that Phil Dromey cannot answer. And we need, sometimes we base our decisions on the information that we get from the person that's most knowledgeable about the process. So if we can ask her to be present in the future, that would be very helpful.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Are there any further questions?
Mr. President.
Councilor Davila?
I do have in relationship to the host community agreements, I must say, first of all, I think that, again, my compliments to Steve and to his team. I think this will be a good fit to the neighborhood, and I will be more than thrilled to be voting in favor of this particular, sir. But I am a little concerned with this thing about the host agreement, particularly when we have other entities that are being held up, being approved. We're holding up jobs, we're holding up tax base. And so I will urge the mayor to sign the agreements. Let's get everybody through that have been approved, and because we need the money, we need the jobs, and so. But I do agree with Councilor Whitfield. In the future, Attorney G should be present. I request her presence so that we can answer this question, because I somehow had a funny feeling that we had these questions before. So, but anyways, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Hurst.
I just will say that once the mayor has granted a host community agreement to the petitioner, and then that petitioner has come before the city council to approve a special permit, and we voted in favor of that special permit, I don't recall a time in which the petitioner has ever been held up. And so I don't anticipate that that will happen here. And so I think we ought to approve this and then in good faith rely on the mayor to do what he's done previously. And so, I understand the concern and the potential confusion, but it seems to me that the signature ought to be forthcoming very soon after we approve it.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I beg to differ from Councilor Hurst. We just got a lengthy email about an agreement being held up. So maybe it was sent by Attorney G actually. So I just wanted you to reference that. But we want to make sure that everyone gets a fair amount of time and that everything is done in an orderly fashion and not based on any personal relationships or personal feelings. And so that's why I'm trying to figure out what the process is and the time frame of getting it done, because a specific petitioner has been waiting about 6 weeks to get a host community agreement signed. And so I want to make sure that this petitioner doesn't also have to wait as long, and that we streamline the process a bit so that, folks can get started. It's also revenue to the city, it's jobs to the city, and we just want to make sure everything is done decently and in order. Thank you, Mr. President.
Whitfield. Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. I will remind councilors that the hearing remains open and we are currently collecting evidence relative to our decision. Are there any further questions for the petitioner? Councilor Hurst.
Let me just provide a caveat to what it is that I said. Unless they are requesting an amendment because they have a change in location, the mayor has been forthcoming with his signature. Both of the two cases that got delayed and the one that is currently being delayed, there has been a change in location. And so there are other issues that have factored in. In those that we've approved where there hasn't been a change of location, a signature has been forthcoming fairly immediately, to my knowledge.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I'm going to restate that I will be very happy to vote on this, but I think this issue of the host agreements is extremely relevant because, say, for example, that, and it's that Councilor Hurst has said and Councilor Whitfield stated that, and I believe Councilor Perez, that if they change locations, they will have to come back to us. And so we need to figure out this thing about the host agreement, not to veer off, but, we have a woman-based minority business being held up. And so host agreements, my point, Mr. President, is that we all, and I think we all agree with this, let's get this through. We vetted them. Let's get them signed. Let's get them to open up. Let's get the jobs going. Let's get the tax bases. Stop holding things up. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any further questions or clarifications for the petitioner before we close the public hearing? Seeing none, without objection at this time, I will now declare that the public hearing is closed. Is there any debate amongst the council on the special permit? Seeing no debate. Seeing no debate without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to approve the special permit.
On approving the special permit, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Abstain.
Abstain, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan, absent. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the special permit is approved. Congratulations. Councilor Perez on the reasons.
And the reasons, number one, the specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. Number two, the use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. Number three, adequate and appropriate facility will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. Number four, to incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision at the basis of the findings.
Is there any debate on the reasons? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to approve the reasons.
On approving the reasons, Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Abstain.
Abstain, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan, absent. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The reasons are approved.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. Madam Clerk, please call item 9.
Item 9 is to change the zoning of the properties known as 1400 State Street and 1414 State Street from Residence C to Business A.
This is a zone change hearing. Proponents will have 20 minutes. Opponents will also have 20 minutes. Rebuttal will be limited to 5 minutes. Will the proponents please step forward and state your name and address for the record?
Good evening, Councilors. Phil Dromey, Deputy Director for the Office of Planning and Economic Development on Tapley Street, and I'm here tonight to present the proposed zone change for the properties known as 1400 State Street and 1414 State Street. As the council is aware, this is the location of the former Springfield Municipal Hospital. The city sold that property, I believe, back in 1996 to Vibra Hospital, and it's been run as a hospital for a number of years. I do believe a couple of years ago, Vibra has relocated or closed the majority of the uses at this locations. I believe there's still some hospital beds being used, but the majority of the site is currently vacant. The property, the proposed zone change is from Residence C to Business A. This site is about a 16-acre site, and as noted, it's currently zoned Residence C, which limits the redevelopment opportunities at this location to really residential uses such as single, two-family, or multifamily. The proposed zone change was a request to the Chief Development Officer to help facilitate the proposed redevelopment of this site. Business A is a zoning classification that can be found up and down the State Street commercial corridor, and it is consistent with the existing zoning on the surrounding properties, including the adjacent properties, although I do believe Mass Mutual is Business A and Business B. As I noted in my analysis, it's good to note that, due to the size of the property, there's more than likely any potential redevelopment. There currently are not plans for the redevelopment of the site that I'm aware of. There has been talk about using this site for more medical uses, but there are no formal plans submitted. But due to the size of the parcel and some of the uses they're talking about doing here, it most likely will trigger either a site plan review or a special permit from the City Council. So there will be additional chances to review any proposed projects being proposed at this location. Again, it's a consistent zone with the State Street corridor zoning, so the staff is recommending approval. The planning board has recommended approval as well. I am more than happy to answer any questions anybody may have at this time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else present to speak in favor of the petition? Seeing none, Councilor Brown and Councilor Whitfield, I do see your hands. I'd like to allow any opponents that are present and then take questions if that's okay with both of you.
Oh, yeah, I'm just getting in the queue. No problem.
Thank you. Is there anybody else present in person to speak in favor? And is there anybody present virtually to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anybody present in person to speak in opposition? Please state your name and address for the record.
Jennifer Rao, 29 Ingersoll Grove. I'm a resident of Springfield. I'm also a director on the board of directors of the Springfield Preservation Trust, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the trust. We note that the petition is insufficient in that it fails to state the actual proposed use of the property in order to give the public a fair assessment of what the zoning change would entail and what impact it would have on the community. But our bigger concern is that the property contains a number of buildings, including a 1930s Art Deco style building, and it's being marketed by the current owner's property agent as, quote, existing improvements to be demolished with the rezoning anticipated. In that case, all the buildings could potentially be demolished, and there would be no protection under the current historic protections for this 1930s Art Deco building. It falls just under the 100-year mark that would require an automatic demolition delay under city ordinance. We're concerned that that 1930 building is such a significant part of the city's architectural heritage because it's an Art Deco building and one of the few Art Deco buildings in that area. Art Deco buildings are an iconic image of American culture. Think of the Empire State Building, think of Deco Drive in Miami, think of the Chrysler Building, and I think everybody knows the most famous Art Deco building in our culture right now is probably the building featured in the Ghostbusters movie at the end of the movie because of its Art Deco style. We at the Trust, we do not want to prevent redevelopment of this entire site. We are concerned only with that 1930s building. There is a 1950s addition that's significantly larger that was added to it. We're not concerned with that addition, just the 1930s building. The Trust has submitted a request to the Historic Commission to protect the building as an historic district. That request is currently pending. It was submitted on August 31st of this year, and it hasn't yet been teed up for hearing. We'd like to at least see that petition being heard by the Historic Commission first before a decision is made on this. We also think that it's a basis for either delaying or denying zoning because under Section 1 of the Springfield zoning ordinance, one of the purposes of our zoning ordinance is to, quote, preserve the cultural, historical, architectural, and open space heritage of the community. This building represents all of those things. Culturally, it is the isolation hospital built in the 1930s. After we've all gone through COVID, you can see that there's a cultural significance to that. Architecturally, Art Deco style. Historically, 1930s. We're going significantly far back in time. And as far as open space, the planning of that building shows that there's a large circular drive and plenty of tree space, and that's certainly a concern now with the environmental concerns of the community in this century. So we feel like this building satisfies all of those zoning concerns that you have to look at in determining whether the zoning change should be allowed. The SBT has attempted to reach out to the owner of the building regarding this petition. Unfortunately, our advocacy coordinator has not yet been able to reach anyone. We would like to work with the owners to see how we can facilitate a petition for designating just the Art Deco building as an historic district, and we believe it would benefit them in marketing the property since an historic district would be potentially available for federal and state historic tax credits for a commercial redevelopment of the property. So any cost that a developer would have to incur in order to save this building and maintain its historic exterior could easily be paid for by tax credit incentives. Under the city ordinance, as well as the Historic District Act, Chapter 40C, the City Council does have the ability to direct the Historical Commission to review the building for its historic, cultural, and architectural significance. If the petitioner would like to move the process along to market the property, which is something we don't object to, we would ask perhaps the City Council to consider referring this to the Historical Commission for decision and a study as required by the statute on its historical and architectural significance forthwith, and that would move along the process. Our goal is not to prevent development of the entire parcel and prevent the continued economic improvements in the city of Springfield. Our goal is to save that singular building, make sure it's protected, because once it's gone, and we can't make a short-term sacrifice of trying to get the property redevelopment and lose forever an historic building that's part of our cultural heritage and makes our city appealing for both residents and investors.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present to speak in opposition to the special permit or to the zone change? Is there anybody present virtually to speak in opposition to the zone change? Seeing none, then at this time we'll entertain questions from councilors. Councilor Whitfield.
Well, Mr. President, what was the name of the person who just spoke?
The person that just spoke is Jennifer Rao.
Jennifer Rao, you did a wonderful presentation. I heard tax credits in there. I heard Art Deco. I heard historic. I heard that City of First needs to preserve our art. I heard a lot, but then I got distracted and then I came back and heard some more. But that was a wonderful presentation. I do have some questions for Phil. So Phil, who's the owner of this land parcel?
I'd have to look it up. I don't think I have that in my file at the moment. The petition was through the Springfield Planning Board, actually petitioned for the proposed zone change. There's a number of entities that can petition for a zone change, either the City Council, Springfield Planning Board, the owner of the property, or I believe it's 10 registered voters can petition for a zone change.
Petition for a zone. So the planning board wants a zone change because they have more options for development.
Correct. It was to help facilitate the redevelopment of the site, because currently residency will limit any commercial redevelopment at the site.
Okay, and the owner of the site doesn't have any development plans, and we don't know who that is.
Well, I can certainly find out the owner for you. I don't have any, at this point, I am not aware of any concrete development plans, no.
Okay, so I need to know who the owner is, because that would be a good question that I would have if they have any redevelopment plans. I do think that we need to consider the historical value that this property brings to the city of Springfield and the redevelopment of that area. This is a Pine Point location?
Correct.
Is this the Pine Point location, Phil?
I believe it's in Pine Point.
It's not?
No, I believe it's in Pine Point.
Yeah. Oh, it's in Pine Point. And did we talk to the Pine Point Neighborhood Council?
I did not.
Okay, so I have a lot of concerns with just changing this over. What's the process, Mr. President, if I want to send it to committee, or what's the best route to go, I should say?
Councilor Whitfield, to answer your question with a zone change, it is a hearing, so our options would be to continue the hearing and keep it open, or to vote the zone change down.
Okay, I would like to continue the hearing, Mr. President.
Motion has been
I don't
made
think
by...
it's a bad zone change. I just need more information, but I also want to speak more about preserving the historical value of the property.
Could I just was able, if I could just interject, I just was able to locate it. It's still owned by Vibra Healthcare.
Vibra Healthcare?
Right.
Still the owner?
Right.
Okay.
If I could just,
Bill, you cannot.
Oh, okay.
Councilor Whitfield, is your motion, does your motion stand to continue?
Yeah, I think it'll be better if we discuss it in committee.
Point of information.
So let's take a break.
Or can we discuss it when the hearing's open?
So
Can we discuss it?
the hearing is open. Because the hearing is open, we have to collect evidence in the hearing. We can continue the item to a next hearing and request more individuals to be present to provide evidence to us, or we can vote the zone change down. but we cannot refer the item to committee. We would have to hear it as its own. We also have the option, at the will of the council, it could be its own meeting where it's a hearing, but it has to be a hearing where we collect evidence, Councilor Whitfield.
Understand. So I still want to continue. I make a motion to continue.
Second.
This,
Councilor Whitfield has made a motion to continue. The motion has been seconded by Councilor Fenton. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Davila.
I guess I could use this moment for the point of information. So I see that the motion has been to committee. I just want to, for my own purposes, I think Jennifer made a statement that we could send this to the Historical Commission. I just want to make sure that whether that's a possibility or not at this stage.
So this item cannot be referred to the Historic Commission. I think that a previous individual provided testimony that spoke to another process to request a review by the Historic Commission. I do not believe we can refer the zone change to the Historic Commission. We are the body that's been petitioned for the zone change, and we are currently conducting a zone change hearing.
Okay.
So we can continue that hearing so that we can collect further evidence at a future date, but our discussions need to be limited to the hearing that we participate in in the future.
And so the motion, just to be clear, is to continue, correct?
The motion is to continue to our next hearings meeting.
To the next hearing date. Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion? I do see Councilor Brown and Councilor Walsh have your hands up. Are you on the motion, Councilor Brown?
Yes, Mr.
Councilor Brown on the motion.
When it comes to this particular thing, I do concur with my colleague. Being a resident in Ward 4, the McKnight area is very, very vibrant when it comes to the historic community. I commend Jennifer, I commend you for your work. We have a great Black icon, Primus Mason, and that actual location itself is a place where my great grandmother had her last day suffering from Alzheimer's. And I recall the times where I went and I visited her. So it is iconic. It is something that I want the community, as far as the historic community, to be able to sustain some of those memories. Those are very, very, very iconic memories. So I do believe that is something when we do meet, I would love for this, Jennifer, I would love for you to be able to be there so we can really sit down and make sure that nothing is destroyed from that location. It's very important. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Jennifer, for the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Walsh on the motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And I also support the motion to continue and agree with Councilor Whitfield of the great points that were brought forward by Jennifer. And I think we should all take a moment to thank the Springfield Preservation Trust for all the work they do and being so diligent, because I don't know if any of us realized that there was possibility of destroying a treasure, as Councilor Brown said. So I support the motion and hope that there'll be a lot of discussion, because I think it's also very important to know what the use might be. And that might impact how we vote on finally on this project. I would really like to know what they're thinking of doing with it before I vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Whitfield on your motion.
It's not on the motion, Mr. President, it's to you. You did a great job explaining this hearing and the laws and the questions that I asked. And I just wanted to give you I'm going to give you your props on the information. So this is going to continue the item. It's not going to committee. It's not going to the Springfield Preservation Trust. So I'm ready. That's it. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. It is an honor to serve. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for the purposes, and I will vote in favor to continue this, but the purpose of efficiency and may I suggest, Mr. President, for the next meeting, whenever you schedule it, that we have, and I don't have to have the answers now, but Phil, maybe to make sure that the right players to use a term, that have to do with any potential demolition permits, any cleanup. There's a plethora of things that I'm thinking of right now that might be on hand to answer our questions, because this is a big deal. It's a big issue, and so I'm just trying to think ahead to what some of the potential needs might be, Phil. But I don't have to have the answers now. Just a suggestion, Mr. President, to you, Phil. Everything that potentially demolition, because if we do approve it, I'm willing to bet my lunch money that some parts will be coming down. So thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Phil.
Phil, did you want to respond?
Well, I guess I'm unclear as to what that would be. There are no demolition permits being filed for, so I'm not sure who I'm going to bring to the next meeting who's going to explain a demolition permit. I do want to point out that it's important to note that the building could be demolished tomorrow at Residence C. So to me, while I am certainly not minimizing the historic aspect of this building, it to me is a separate discussion. But obviously, if you guys want to continue, it's great. But the building is not protected by Residence C zoning, nor will it be protected by Business A zoning. So the building could be demolished tomorrow.
Right, but Phil, you partially answered part of my question, if I may.
Councilor Davila.
You partially answered my question, part of my question. I thank you for that. But it's an old building. I'm sure there's all kinds of tanks underneath. I'm sure there's something in there. So I'm thinking of the environment. It appears to me that the will of the body is to continue the item, which I will support. Again, just to think ahead, to be efficient. But that's something that I can have talk to you offline as well. But I do believe that the experts should be in this room to advise us, because this is a very important decision we're going to make.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. There's a motion on the floor to continue this item to the next hearings meeting. The motion has been properly seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Hurst.
I just want to stress that for me, it's extremely critical, Phil, that the owner be present at our next meeting. And I guess my question to you is, have you already had conversations with the owner, who I'd imagine is in agreement with the zone change?
I have not personally had conversations with the owner, no. I moved this at the direction of the Chief Development Officer to move this zone change forward. So I'd be more than happy to.
So the Chief Development Officer has had conversations with
I can't speak for him. I was asked to petition the planning board to formally petition for the proposed zone change, and that's the process I'm following.
So I guess on its face, it just doesn't seem that transparent. It seems like there's a lot of things that are out there that we ought to get to the bottom of, and there's a lot of information that folks probably have that is not being shared with this body.
I mean, the only other point I do want to stress with regards to zone change is that unlike special permits, zone changes cannot be conditioned. So while someone may say I'm doing A, B, and C, once the zone change is approved, they can turn around and sell it, and someone else can come in and do X, Y, and Z. So that's just an important, in my opinion, an important distinction between a zone change where you can say, a special permit that says, I'm giving you this for this particular use, it can be no other use. A zone change, once approved, a zone change cannot legally be conditioned. So while we ask for plans to show us what you're doing, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the end use you're going to get. So I just want to make that point.
No, understood. And I think I would probably prefer it go like the next applicant or petitioner that is going to come before us, who I'd imagine is looking to do something very similar to what you're doing. And, I believe the owner is present of that particular zone change as well, and they're probably going to elaborate on
I would agree.
that they're getting ready to do with the property that we're getting ready to approve the zone change for. So it just seems to me like that's a bit more customary, but I'll defer to you, Phil, and we'll talk about it next month.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Does that conclude your remarks?
That does.
Once again, there is a motion on the table. The motion has been properly seconded to continue this item. The hearing is open and will remain open. Councilor Whitfield, on your motion.
I don't want to belabor this continuance. I just want to be clear on who's being invited to the hearing the next time. I heard Councilor Hurst say the owner. I request the owner as well. the chief senior engineer. I want to figure out why the chief senior engineer picked this property specifically. I don't know how they're looking at Springfield. I'm glad they're moving it up the hill, but I just want to figure out how this process works as well. So that would be good. And then I heard Councilor Davila say something about the environment. So I'm not really sure on that aspect, but someone knows what's going on underneath. So I think those are 3 good points. And I just want to be clear if we can invite all those folks to the next meeting, and if there's anyone else councilors think should be there.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield.
Clarification on I heard 2 engineers. I need clarification on who that is.
Councilor Whitfield, would you care to clarify?
I didn't say 2 engineers.
I'm sorry.
I said the chief senior engineer. Isn't that who you said you got the zone change request from? Who'd you get
The chief development officer.
The chief development officer?
Correct.
Okay, so chief development officer.
Okay. And I just also want to be clear, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get Councilor Davi's request. I do not have environmental staff, so I can't bring that. If the owner wants to bring in an environmental consultant, by all means, but that's not going to be the planning department.
So a motion is on the table. The motion is to continue. Certainly, we can arrange for invitations through our staff. Councilor Whitfield, does that conclude your remarks?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. All right. Are there any further questions on the motion? Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good questions from the council tonight. Really good questions on this. And I think voting to continue is probably the appropriate thing to do. I just wanted to point out one other thing relative to historic properties on hospitals. Many of you were not here when this happened, but Councilor Edwards and Fenton and Councilor Walsh and I were here, and not quite sure who else, but several years ago, maybe 6, 7 years ago, there was a mansion on the property of Mercy Hospital, an old mansion called the Alice Mansion, ALLIS. And we tried to save that mansion, and we failed. I was on the front of that one, and Councilor Williams was as well, Bud Williams. We weren't able to do it. I don't know if it has parallels with this or not. The Mercy Hospital, or whatever their name is now, Trinity Health, they ended up tearing down that mansion. And so it's good to at least remember that. And I don't know how appropriate or how parallel it is to this Art Deco building, but it's good to speak up on it. And I think I remember that, and we've done a good job on individual historical districts and things like that. We've been very supportive of that. But we lost that one, so just keep that in the back of our mind as we go forward on this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to continue.
On the motion to continue, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes, sorry.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the motion to continue is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 10.
Item 10 is to change the zoning of the properties known as East Side Chestnut Street et al. From a residence C to a business A.
This is our final zone change hearing. Proponents will have 20 minutes. Opponents will have the same right. Rebuttal will be limited to 5 minutes. The proponent's time starts now. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, councilors. Attorney Seth Stratton with Fitzgerald Law, with offices at 1 Monarch Place here in Springfield. Councilors, I'm here on behalf of, sorry, there's an echo in this plexi chamber here. I'm here on behalf of
to it.
New North Citizens Council, Inc., who is the petitioner here. New North Citizens Council is the preferred developer, as unanimously selected by the city's RFP Review Committee for the parcel in question. This parcel is the former Chestnut Street School parcel. And the petition before the council is to change the zone from Residence C to Business A. The Office of Planning and Economic Development has recommended approval of this change, and there was a unanimous vote in favor of the zone change by the Planning Board back in August. This zone change is required to allow the use planned, and I will turn it over to New North Citizen Council's Chief Operating Officer, who many of you know, Jose Claudio, to give an overview of that exciting use for this parcel.
Thank you everyone for being here. And I know it's late, but thank you for hearing us. We've been waiting for this for 45 years. The community really have a dream. And the dream always been that the old Chestnut site used to be a nice basketball site where the kids could play basketball, do the things that they got to do. Us, we got like 100 employees. We are scattered all over the place, and we just want to bring the family home. And this will give us the opportunity to really bring the holistic approach of programs to one-stop shop to our community. Right now, we send them all over the place when they come in. We either got to give them transportation to go to one place to the other. We just want them to come in to one place, one stop, give them the help that they need in the Welcome Center, and also on the weekend do a thing that we need, to have a gym where the kids could play until midnight and run programs that the community deserves. That's our goal, and this is the first step to doing that, and we just want to break ground in April, and would you please approve this for us tonight?
Are there any further individuals present to speak in favor of the zone change? Seeing none, are there any individuals present virtually? Seeing none, is there anybody present to speak in opposition to the zone change? Seeing none, is there anybody present to speak in opposition virtually? Seeing none, as the hearing is still open, are there any questions from councilors on the zone change? Councilor Brown, followed by Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is basically a statement. I grew up a little bit. I lived for a few years over on Chapin Terrace. I remember in high school, we used to go over to Chestnut. My brother Dewan actually went there. Jose, you are a great icon in the community. I commend you for the work that you do and the way that you fight for the Black and brown community. This is not only something where people don't understand, how do you stop violence? How do you stop the depression? How do you stop some of these things? You have to start investing and supporting some of our heroes when it comes to the people who mentor some of our youth and a lot of the people in the inner city. This is something that, like you said, I like, wow, I'm glad that it's almost about to come to the forefront. I commend you for all the work that you have done. You are definitely a hero in my book. Continue the great work. And I definitely support this. And not just this, I'm going to continue to support your fight and just keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's
a whole bunch of us in the community and that really do care, and we stick together to make things happen. And I appreciate Brown for doing this.
Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jose, I don't think there's anyone in here that's going to say no or even question anything about your sincerity you and the community. You're right, because no one does anything in a bubble. It always takes a team. But I like what Councilor Brown said. He said, I like the way you stay in the fight. You got to stay in the fight. We all got to stay in the fight. That's how we get stuff done. But what I heard the most, and it touched me, is the sincerity in your voice and your passion right now, and staying open till midnight. Because what I know that will do is help combat the gun violence problems that we have. We have to save the next generation. So staying open later for those teens and young adults, give them some recreational activity in a safe place with all the resources that they need right there. I can feel that personally. Jose. And I hope we can work together better. We can sit down and talk and do what we need to do for the Springfield community, because that's what's most important. And I also wanted to say that
I apologize. Councilor Whitfield, you'll need to unmute. Councilor Whitfield, you are now muted. You'll need to unmute to finish your statement.
I'm sorry, how did I mute? I didn't mute.
I was attempting to lower your hand, Councilor Whitfield, and I inadvertently muted you. My apologies. The floor remains
That's
yours.
Okay. That's okay. And I was gonna say, the reason that I'm fighting so hard for the Family Center, Boys and Girls Club Family Center to get their fair shares for the same reason. They're trying to build a teen center to stay open later, to save our young adults out here, give them a safe place to be together and grow together and know each other and not fight against each other. And if we can get those type of services in every community, I mean, how we can save our city and grow our city. And so thank you, Jose, for staying in the fight, like Councilor Brown said, and not giving up. And now your dream for 45 years is gonna come through. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Jose, and to your team. Buenas noches. First, congratulations for being selected on the RFP for this development. And again, my apologies for giving my back to you. I have to speak into the microphone, Jose. I saw this. This is a very good project, Jose. I'm very excited. It's going to be a fantastic, in my opinion, fantastic use of that property, which we know has been empty for a while. But I guess I have more of a, I don't know if a suggestion / question for you. I see here that it's going to house community and health-based services, including a gymnasium, library, and physical therapy. Would that encompass anything for our viejitos or elderly in that area? Because we do have something on Chestnut Street, but I think geographically speaking, it might be a little difficult for some of the elderly to get down there. So I don't know, would that be some sort of component for the elderly in that area that they can, not a drop-in center or something they can go and socialize and stay active?
Can you say that again, Vic?
Which part? No, for the viejitos, Jose, is there going to be anything for the viejitos, for the elderly, within this component of health-based and gymnasium and physical therapy? Because I think, no, if you follow my question. No. Is there going to be anything the elderly can take advantage of as well?
Services, we are already.
Mr. Claudia, can you please speak into the microphone?
With the elderly services, we do have an elderly committee that is really taking care of that. So we are having some doctors coming in that are going to be dealing. One of the areas that we are releasing half of our land. Something that we learned is that you need to be funded forever to pay the bills. So we are leasing some land and creating some doctors that are coming in. One is Brazilian, one is African American, and they're going to develop some office space for businesses that are coming in to make a difference, to take care of the elderly. And we also are bringing a bank that we definitely want to need, that is needed in our neighborhood, that is also coming in.
Yeah. Thank you, Jose. I'm glad to hear that, because we have, the elderly is a very special population, as we all know. I'm very here to hear about the bank, because that area has been a bank with our bank forever. Well, just one down on the other side, but anyways, Thank you, Jose. Jose, I'm going to be very happy to be voting in favor of this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any other questions or clarifications for the proponents of the zone change? Councilor Click Bruce.
Yeah, Jose, I just want to, thank you, Mr. President, actually. Jose, I just want to commend, I'm looking to support this for sure, but I just wanted to say, I was one of those kids that was saved by the old Chestnut. We used to come from Mason Square to come down there to play basketball. So I'm happy that this is actually coming back to the community, and actually encompassing much, much more, because as we know, it's bigger than basketball, any sports, and you're encompassing the whole community. And I'm happy that you guys are have this, and I'm looking forward to working with you and supporting this adventure, and congratulations.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. Are there any further questions for the petitioner? Seeing no further questions, without objection, I'll now declare that the zone change hearing is closed. Is there any discussion amongst the councilors prior to a vote? Seeing no discussion, at this time, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approving the zone change.
On approving the zone change, Councilor Perez.
As much as I want to vote on the item, I have to recuse myself.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Please mark Councilor Perez as recused.
Recuse, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan, absent. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Absolutely.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the zone change is approved. Councilor Click Bruce on the reasons. There are reasons.
Reasons for granting.
Councilor Perez, because you are recused, we'll ask you to hand them to Councilor Click Bruce.
Reason for granting.
My understanding is there were reasons for the zone change. Councilor Click Bruce.
Reasons for granting permit. Specific site is appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition.
No, Councilor Click Bruce, I apologize. Those would be the reasons for special permit. My understanding is there were reasons for a zone change. That's what I was previously informed. If there are not reasons for a zone change, I'm looking at my past presidents. If there are no reasons for the zone change, we will not have to hear the reasons. So there are no reasons. I was misunderstood perhaps a discussion that I had previously. And so given that there are no reasons, the zone change is approved. And at this time, Madam Clerk, is there any further business before the council?
There is none.
Seeing none, we will stand adjourned. Thank you all.